Hey lovelies, welcome to this episode of Coach Caris podcast, Itchy, Bitchy and guests. You can see the picture, look, I'm in the middle of moving. I'm going to speak to you today about my why, and why I coach the things that I do and how they're connected to my life. So, this won't be a long one, by the way. But I have had lots of conversations in the last week with my clients, both my Ladies That Lift clients and my online midlife fat loss and confidence clients. So if you follow me on the socials or on my podcast, right, especially if you've listened to episode 100, you will realise that I am moving house a week on Friday, and that there's a lot of emotion in this moving house, because the house that we are in at the moment, myself and Cal and Jasper, has a massive history. And also we are downsizing to a smaller house because of what happened to my dad at age 58, which will be 21 years ago in June. All right. But also my mum is moving as well at the end of June, 3 days before the anniversary, the 21st anniversary of my dad's death. That is just a coincidence, but it is the story. Episode 100 is the story as to the history of my dad, basically, and the history of this house as far as I'm concerned, and myself and Cal and Jasper, who's puttering about somewhere at the moment. So I have spoken to, I think, 4 people over the last, this has just been in the last week, right? And this has been off the back of that podcast and just about change, and probably from my coaching overall. Right, so I coach my Ladies That Lift. So we're in the gym, right, up to 7 days a week, up to 7 times a week. And then I coach my online clients, right? Now my online clients are here for fat loss, but I ultimately coach them in confidence, right? And it's about having confidence to make changes to their life, no matter what that change is. It doesn't really matter what you want to change in your life or how you want to increase your confidence. I want to help midlife women do that, because midlife women, sometimes we just stick to where we are, and we know that we're maybe not happy with the situation, and we know that we want to change things, but we're too scared, right? Which I totally get. I've absolutely been there before, and I might be there again in the future. So the first lady I spoke to, when she came to work with me originally a couple of months ago, came to me for fat loss, to build her confidence and for fat loss, right? Get a little bit of self-belief about her. But what came out over the course of our chats was that she actually hates her job, and she feels that her job sucks the life out of her and causes her a massive amount of anxiety, which flows over into other parts of our life. Right now, we all know in midlife symptoms, perimenal symptoms, right, can be actually horrific. And I struggled more with the mental symptoms than I did the physical symptoms. Absolutely loved hot flushes. Honestly, it was like 6 months and I was like roasting. It was great because I'm always cold, but it was the anxiety side of it, and the imposter syndrome, and the self-doubt, and the lack of confidence, and the not liking myself. Right now, if you're in a situation, whether that be your work, a job, a relationship, right, those feelings are absolutely going to overflow into other parts of your life. Of course they are, right? We're not robots. And as midlife women, I don't think we're particularly great at compartmentalizing our feelings and different parts of our life, right? And effectively, you shouldn't need to. Guys are really good at doing it. It's that emotional thing, right? It's a boy-girl thing, but we are not so good at it. I'm not actually sure you should even be good at it, but it's just a thing. Anyway, this lovely lady, so the first plan was to update her CV, which she's done. The second plan was to get her CV out there in the public domain, which she's done. Had some interviews, waiting to see how it goes. This is amazing. We have fat loss going on as well, right? And they are connected. It's like it's like the chicken and the egg, right? What comes first? Do you lose a bit of body fat and gain more confidence? Or do you work on your confidence alongside working on the body fat so that your life starts to like just get better and better and better, because you start to believe that you can actually do this, whatever that thing is that you're doing, right? So that's one story. It's amazing, by the way. I'm super chuffed for her. The second one is about changes as well, and it's about another client of mine that has a very stressful job and a very hands-on job, and has two parts to her job as well. So she's a kind of hands-on job and a managerial side. And again, we have had many conversations. Right now, this lovely lady we are still working together and have been working together for maybe 8 or 9 months, right? And on days off, there was checking work emails going on, there was answering work calls, there was logging into work, etc., right? So the stress there, and her ability to shut down her work and realise that the world was not going to end if she wasn't on call for 24 hours a day, was a massive struggle. So again, we've had loads of chats, right? Now, none of this change happens overnight, right? It literally took me, it's been, 21 years ago my dad died, right? So this has been in the back of my head maybe not the last 21 years, because I was a fucking riot for the first 3 or 4, right? But it's been in my head since then, right? And there's been lots of stages to get to the stage that I'm at just now. Cal is heftily involved, by the way. I'm not sure I would have went for it so much and been so determined, but it is about confidence and it's about building self-belief. And even though I have Cal and Jasper with me to back me up or to tell me that I'm being a dick when I'm being an idiot, right? This is ultimately me that has driven this process, right? And don't get me wrong, Cal is absolutely not a pushover, right? And we're not doing anything that he doesn't want to do neither. He's very good at bringing me down a peg or two if I need it. You get what I'm saying, ladies, all right? Anyway, right, this other lady, so checking emails on our days off, checking emails relevant to one part of her job when she was trying to do her other part of her job, right? And it gets really distracting. She couldn't shut her brain down. She was waking up in the morning, and the first thing she was doing when she woke up in the morning was checking her emails before she was even getting out of bed. So our mood was tanking before she got out of bed. She was struggling to set time aside for herself, struggling to look after herself, struggling to feed herself like properly with healthy meals, struggling to do her she's got exercise that she loves, that took a back seat, and it was just, it's just a vicious circle, right? It's an absolute vicious circle. So last week, we are now at the stage that we are not checking work emails on days off. This ultimately, right, is amazing. And it is a step towards where she ultimately wants to be. It's a step towards improving her health. It's a step towards realising that she's not indispensable. And I'm hoping it's a step towards her looking for another job. But ultimately, obviously, that is her decision. So that is a massive step as well, right? And I remember when I first started with my coach a couple of years ago, my fat loss coach, right? He was like, put your phone away for the first hour you get up in the morning. And I must admit, I felt like I was walking about with my right arm cut off. It was a horrible, panicky, anxiety, fluttery chest feeling that somebody was going to need me and I wouldn't be there, right? Believe me, ladies, I know this now, right? I am not that important. And whatever you think you are in level of importance, right? The world is not going to end because you're not checking your emails and you're not available 24 hours a day. I can assure you. All right. The third client, we had a chat about, I was asking her why her steps were a bit rubbish. And my usual honest approach, right? I was asking her why her steps were a bit rubbish. I don't have time. Right. And again, midlife ladies, I hear this all the time. We do have time. Anyway, right, so we had a wee chat. I don't have time. Why do you not have time? Well, I work 8:30 to 5:30. Fine. You must get a lunch break. Yeah. I do go out for a walk on my lunch. Brilliant. What about when you get home? Well, by the time I get home, it's like 6 o'clock, and then we do the whole dinner thing, and then, I've got the hoovering to do, I've got the housework, I've got the washing to do, I've got to cook the meals, blah, 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 blah. Right, whoa, 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 fucking whoa. You are not living in that household on your own. There are other people in that household. Yes, you are correct. Excellent. Why are those other people? Maybe one of them could cook a meal 2 nights of the week, 1 night of the week, 3 nights of the week. Well, I just feel if I ask, I'm going to get attitude. And again, this is why a lot of midlife women do not make changes, because we think that we try and predict other people's responses, right? And what we actually don't know is we actually don't know how other people are going to respond. But we assume that it's going to be a not helpful response. And we assume that other people, whether it's friends, family, people in your house, whatever, we assume that other people are going to judge us for not being able to do everything. Therefore, we're going to feel like a failure and we're going to feel weak, right? It is not our fucking job to do everything and to have everything, right? It is not the fucking 90s. The shoulder pads are gone, the fucking blazers, the suits, they're all gone, right? This thought and this mindset that women need to be all over it all of the time is the biggest pile of shite, and it is the biggest thing that is holding you back, right? So anyway, long story short, this lovely client said to the other person in the household, do you fancy maybe cooking one night? Yeah. So there you go. She's got one night that she doesn't have to cook. And it's not just the not cooking. It's the brain space. Do you know, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to plan it. You don't have to nip to the supermarket. It's not your responsibility. She's just taking a step back. And yeah, do you know, there's other things that we need to do, but that's like an hour that frees up time for her to do something else. As I say, with my fingers crossed, hoping that it's her daily steps. But ultimately, she's got a night off, right? Amazing. Just ask. Most other human beings, right? They're like yourself. They're fucking decent. They will actually help you. Don't get all in your head about it. And finally, the last one. Again, this is a lovely lady. She's not a client of mine, but I do see her every now and again. And we do follow each other on Insta and stuff like that. And she said to me that for the first time ever, she has switched her email notifications off on her phone, her work email notifications off on her phone, right? Now, this is amazing. This is another thing about just taking control, and it's about us setting our own boundaries, right? All my notifications are off on my phone, right? And I actually know a couple of coaches that do the same, right? All my notifications are off. My WhatsApp notifications are off, my Insta, my Facebook, my email. I don't even have my work email on my phone, but then nobody emails me on work, so it doesn't really matter. But my personal emails, especially with the house sale and all that, right? All my notifications are turned off and have been now for well over a year, right? And the reason that they're turned off is because I get to decide when people get a hold of me. Do you remember in the olden days, like when we had a landline? I can still remember my landline number, by the way, from when I was a teenager, can use, right? When we had a landline, that was literally it. There was, other than chapping your door, putting a letter in the post to you, it's not very quick, admittedly, or phoning you, right? There was no way people could get a hold of you. You used to get up in the morning, go to school, see your pals, come home. If anybody, or college or uni or whatever, if anybody wanted a hold of you, they literally had to wait till you were back home at 3:30, 4:30, 5:30. Did the world end? No, it fucking did not. Right? So I get to decide, I get to decide when people can get a hold of me. That's why all my notifications are off. Do I check things? Yes, I do. I check my socials a couple of times a day. I check my WhatsApp. All my clients are on WhatsApp. All right, I've got an app for my clients as well, so I do check that as well. So I check it 2 times a day, 3 times a day. I get to decide though. This is what boundaries are, ladies. Boundaries. You get to decide. It's not, you don't have to be instantly available. Anyway, this is my why. This is why I am so passionate about women building their confidence and making changes to their life, right? It's because I understand, I have been there, I understand the awfulness, the anxiety, and the, I suppose, feeling like your brain's going to explode, but feeling like all you ever do is serve other people. I understand all of this. I have been there, which is why I don't just coach fat loss, right? Anybody can lose weight. Anybody can lose weight. Like literally anybody. It is not, it is a simple process, right? It's easy to work out. You just put yourself in a calorie deficit and you stick to it, right? But if your head isn't in the right space, and if you don't believe you can do it, if you don't have self-belief, if you don't like what you see in the mirror, and if you're not confident across most parts of your life, right, you are never, ever going to keep that fat off. You are just going to put it back on again, which is why it is so important in my coaching that women have confidence. They have, I was going to say they have the lady balls, they have the balls, and then somebody sent me something saying that balls are weak and we should just, it was a Betty White thing that wasn't Betty White apparently, that you should just have a vagina because they can totally take a pounding. So you need to have a vagina that is going to let you pretty much do anything. It doesn't quite sound right, does it? I like lady balls. Let's go for lady balls. All right. So I think I've went off on a couple of tangents, but ultimately this podcast was to tell you that you can do everything. You can do anything and everything, but you have to set your own boundaries. You have to take that leap of faith in yourself, right? And if that boundary to start with is not switching your laptop on your day off, or if it's turning your notifications off on your phone, turning your notifications off on your phone, or if it's actually asking somebody in your household to take over a chore or to take over a task or just to help you, right? You have to take that leap first. And don't assume other people's reactions, because you'll probably be wrong, because most human beings are decent and will help you. 100%. Anyway, that's my chat for today. Lovelies, thank you very much. Coach Cara's podcast, Itchy, Bitchy and guests. If you're listening to this and you haven't listened to episode 100, please go back and listen to it. It will explain why I do what I do, as in my job wise, and just what I'm up to for the next week and a half. All right. Bye.